What if I told you there's a job where you literally work 300 feet underwater, in complete darkness, welding massive oil pipelines while sharks circle around you? Or that somewhere in the Scottish Highlands, there's a craftsman who spends 6 months creating a single bagpipe by hand, using techniques passed down for over 4 centuries? Today, we're diving deep into the most fascinating niche professions you've never heard of. And trust me, by the end of this video, you'll question everything you thought you knew about unique careers. Welcome back to The Curious Route, where we explore the extraordinary paths people take in this world. I'm your host, and today we're taking you behind the scenes of some of the most unusual, dangerous, and downright fascinating jobs on the planet. These aren't your typical office careers. These are the stories of people who chose paths so unique that most of us didn't even know they existed. And here's the thing that'll blow your mind. Some of these professionals make more in a single day than most people make in a month. So stick around, because what you're about to hear might just inspire you to completely rethink your career path. Let's start with one of the most dangerous jobs in the world: underwater welding. Picture this. You're 300 feet below the ocean surface. The pressure is crushing. Visibility is near zero, and you're creating electrical arcs hot enough to melt steel, all while surrounded by marine life and the constant threat of decompression sickness. Sounds like a nightmare, right? For underwater welders, it's just another day at the office. Meet Jake Morrison, a commercial diver and underwater welder who's been working in the Gulf of Mexico for the past 12 years. When I asked him what drew him to this profession, his answer was simple: the challenge and the pay. Underwater welders can earn anywhere from $150,000 to $300,000 annually, with some saturation divers making even more. But as Jake puts it, you're not just getting paid for your welding skills, you're getting paid for the risk. The job requires an incredibly unique skill set. First, you need to be a certified commercial diver, which alone takes months of intensive training. Then you need to be a qualified welder on land. But combining these two skills underwater? That's where it gets truly complex. The physics of welding change completely when you're submerged. Water conducts electricity, so every weld you make could potentially electrocute you if your equipment fails. The pressure affects how metals fuse together, and you're working in conditions where you can barely see your own hands in front of your face. Jake shared a story that still gives him chills. He was working on an offshore oil rig, welding a damaged support structure at 270 feet deep. Suddenly, his communication line with the surface went dead. In that moment of complete silence, surrounded by darkness and the eerie sounds of the ocean, he had to make a critical decision: continue the weld and risk running out of air, or ascend immediately and leave the job unfinished, which could endanger the entire rig. He chose to finish the weld, working purely from muscle memory and years of experience, unable to call for help or confirm his air supply with the surface team. When he finally surfaced, he learned that a ship had accidentally severed his comm line with its anchor. That 15-minute window could have been his last. But it's not all terror and danger. Jake describes moments of absolute beauty that most people will never experience. Swimming alongside whale sharks during a safety stop, watching bioluminescent creatures light up the darkness like underwater stars, or discovering shipwrecks that haven't been seen by human eyes in decades. For Jake, these moments make every risk worthwhile. As he told me, when you're that deep underwater, welding structures that will support entire communities, you realize you're part of something bigger than yourself. Now let's travel from the ocean depths to the misty Scottish Highlands, where we meet Duncan MacLeod, a fourth-generation bagpipe maker. While underwater welding is about conquering nature's extremes, bagpipe making is about preserving centuries of tradition with painstaking precision. Duncan works from a small workshop in a remote village where his family has crafted bagpipes since the 1700s. Here's what most people don't understand about bagpipes. They're not just musical instruments. They're pieces of functional art that can take anywhere from 4 to 8 months to create. Duncan uses African blackwood, a dense timber that must be aged for years before it's suitable for pipes. Each piece of wood is carefully selected, then turned on a lathe with tolerances measured in thousandths of an inch. A single mistake can ruin months of work. The workshop itself is like stepping back in time. Hand tools hang on walls alongside modern precision equipment. The smell of wood shavings and beeswax fills the air. Duncan showed me his father's workbench, still scarred with decades of craftsmanship, and explained that learning to make bagpipes isn't something you can do in a classroom. It's passed down through apprenticeship, watching and learning until the knowledge becomes instinct. What fascinated me most was discovering that no two bagpipes sound exactly alike, even when made by the same craftsman using identical materials. Duncan explained that microscopic variations in wood grain density, ambient humidity during construction, and even the craftsman's mood while shaping the bore can affect the final tone. Professional pipers can tell you which region, and sometimes which maker, crafted a set of pipes just by hearing them played. Duncan's workshop receives orders from around the world, from Scottish regiments to pipe bands in Australia and Canada. He's currently working on a set for a ceremonial guard in Dubai, commissioned for over $30,000. But what drives him isn't the money, it's the continuation of his family's legacy and the knowledge that his instruments will be played at weddings, funerals, and celebrations long after he's gone. He once made a set of pipes that were played at the funeral of a Scottish war hero, and hearing them on the news, knowing they came from his hands, was a moment he'll never forget. If you think your job has challenging working conditions, let me introduce you to Sofia Ramirez, a volcano photographer who literally chases eruptions around the world. Her office is the rim of active volcanoes, where temperatures can exceed 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit and toxic gases can kill you in seconds. Her job combines adventure photography, scientific documentation, and a healthy dose of what most people would call insanity. Sofia didn't start out planning to photograph volcanoes. She was a landscape photographer who happened to be in Iceland when Eyjafjallajökull erupted in 2010. She captured images that went viral worldwide, and suddenly found herself with a new career specialization. Now she travels to every major eruption on the planet, often arriving before news crews, getting shots that seem impossible. The preparation for volcano photography is intense. Sofia travels with specialized heat-resistant gear, gas masks, thermal imaging cameras, and sometimes even a hazmat suit. She works with volcanologists who help her understand eruption patterns and identify relatively safe positions, though she's quick to point out that there's no such thing as truly safe when you're standing next to an exploding mountain. She's been caught in pyroclastic flows, had her equipment melted by lava splatter, and once had to outrun a surge of toxic gas that would have killed her in under a minute. But the images she captures are otherworldly. Lava flows that look like rivers of liquid fire, lightning storms that form inside volcanic ash clouds, and the raw power of the earth reshaping itself in real time. Her photographs have appeared in National Geographic, scientific journals, and documentaries. More importantly, they've helped scientists better understand volcanic behavior, potentially saving lives through improved eruption predictions. Sofia's most memorable moment came at Mount Etna in Sicily. She was documenting a nighttime eruption when the volcano suddenly intensified, creating what's called a lava fountain, where molten rock shoots hundreds of feet into the air. She was too close, with lava bombs landing all around her position. In that moment, she had a choice: protect herself or get the shot. She chose the shot. The resulting image, showing massive arcs of lava against the star-filled sky, won international awards and became one of the defining images of that eruption. She admits it was reckless, but also says some moments are worth the risk. Let's move to something that appears more peaceful, but requires incredible skill and patience: heritage thatching. In the English countryside, there's a dying breed of craftsmen who preserve medieval roofing techniques. Thomas Bradshaw is one of perhaps only 300 professional thatchers remaining in the United Kingdom, and he specializes in restoring the roofs of buildings that are centuries old. Thatching involves layering bundles of dried vegetation, usually water reed or wheat straw, to create a waterproof roof that can last 50 to 70 years. It sounds simple until you realize that Thomas is working on buildings protected by strict heritage laws, where every bundle must be placed exactly as it would have been in the 1600s. No modern shortcuts, no synthetic materials, just traditional techniques and materials. The physical demands are brutal. Thomas spends entire days balanced on steep roofs, often in harsh weather, carrying bundles of reeds that weigh up to 60 pounds each. His hands are permanently calloused from gripping tools and working with rough materials. A single roof might take 3 to 6 months to complete, and one mistake can compromise the entire structure's integrity. What makes Thomas's work especially fascinating is that he's not just preserving buildings, he's preserving knowledge. The techniques he uses were never written down. They were passed from master to apprentice over centuries. He's currently training 2 young apprentices, teaching them to read a roof's history by examining the layers of old thatch, understanding how water flows and where weak points will develop. It's detective work combined with craftsmanship. Thomas once worked on a cottage that Shakespeare reportedly visited in the late 1500s. As he removed layers of old thatch, he found materials from different centuries, each layer telling a story of the families who lived there. At the very bottom, he discovered thatch from the original 1600s roof, preserved and still intact. For Thomas, these moments connect him directly to the craftsmen who came centuries before, creating a living chain of tradition. So what connects all these seemingly different professions? Each one requires years of specialized training, operates in extreme conditions, and preserves knowledge or skills that can't be learned from books or videos. These professionals have chosen paths that most of us will never experience, and they've done it not for fame or easy money, but because they're drawn to challenges that push human capability to its limits. Jake, the underwater welder, works in environments that would kill most of us in minutes. Duncan, the bagpipe maker, preserves 4 centuries of family tradition with every instrument he creates. Sophia risks her life to document the raw power of volcanic eruptions. And Thomas maintains buildings and techniques that connect us directly to medieval England. Each of them has found meaning in work that most people don't even know exists. These niche professions remind us that the world of work is vastly more diverse than we typically imagine. While most of us are worried about office politics or email overload, there are people out there welding underwater, photographing erupting volcanoes, crafting musical instruments by hand, and preserving medieval buildings. And here's the thing. Many of these professionals find more satisfaction in their unusual careers than people in conventional jobs ever do. Now I want to hear from you. What's the most unusual or niche profession you've ever heard of? Have you met anyone who has a job that most people don't even know exists? Drop a comment below and share your story, because I love discovering new fascinating professions to explore on this channel. And if you enjoyed diving deep into these incredible careers with me today, make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss another episode of The Curious Route. We explore the extraordinary paths people take in this world every single week, and trust me, the stories only get more fascinating from here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next Curious Route.